Okay.
Brother, this guy stinks!
I am back. I know it's been so long, and I apologize for that because, I've just been dealing with life and I'm still getting used to this YouTube life. I'm learning along with other people, but here I am. So, as you can tell by the title, we are talking about attachment styles. I took the quiz and found out what type of attachment style I have, and surprisingly, it was something that I didn't think I had. I thought I was like secure, but she's not perfect. So, if you're wondering what attachment styles are, let's get started. I'm gonna move closer because. So, attachment styles are personality types into which we have been placed by our caregivers. It is the way in which most of us are deeply marked. It is the way our cells develop, and as we learn how to interact with people, the three major attachment styles are secure attached people, which I am not. Those are people that can rely on acceptance and support. They trust others and they want to be held, but in a secure way. Next is anxious avoidant people that feel that others anxiously avoidant. They feel like others cannot be relied on. You're very anxious. We all know what anxiety is. I've talked about it on my blog, which you should follow. I'll put the link down below. They try not to get close to people. They avoid intimacy. They avoid falling for someone that potentially things could work out with. And then we have anxious, resistant. And those are people that feel that others are dangerous, so they don't allow themselves to depend on them or to be vulnerable. Can we guess which one I am? Number 3, I'm very resistant. It is hard for me to be vulnerable. Very much so. I got called out this recent year, and I know I need to work on it, which that takes a lot of guts to admit that you need to work on something. So, yeah. So we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into it. And I'm gonna expose ways that you can kind of work on becoming a better you and becoming okay with being vulnerable, as I am learning to. So, attachment styles are the personality types into which we have been placed by our caregivers, like I said, or deeply marked. How we were raised in childhood affected our attachment style, and it carried with us into adulthood. So ask yourself, what were you like as a child? Did you avoid being vulnerable with people around you, including your parents, or were you secure in that relationship with your parents? Attachment styles are not fixed traits. They can be changed over time if you do the work and give yourself time. For example, if a mother has a difficult time bonding with her baby due to unresolved trauma from childhood, such as abuse, then she will likely have difficulty bonding with her children later on down the line because of the same trauma. However, and this is the key, attachment styles aren't always negative. In fact, many people who were abused or neglected during childhood can still be quite good parents when given proper guidance and support from their partners, spouses, etc. Like I said, do the work and surround yourself with people who will help you fix that attachment style and be secure in a relationship. So let's go deeper into three major attachment styles. Yes, I'm reading off my notes because I would forget. So yeah, and I'm fighting a cold. So yeah, you're probably thinking, wait, there are only three attachment styles, and you'd be right. But first, let's talk about what we mean by attachment styles. The general idea is that each person has one of three types of relationships with their parents. These styles are known as secure, anxious avoidant, and avoidant resistant. You've probably heard the terms before. They're often used interchangeably in pop culture, but what does it all mean? Let's look at some examples. So, secure attached kids feel safe and secure in their relationship with their parents. They go on dates with them and trust them implicitly, even if they don't always agree with everything their parents say. They also get along well enough that they can joke around together like siblings do. The best part? These children tend to grow up feeling comfortable being themselves without worrying too much about what others think of them or if anyone likes them back. Anxious avoidant kids have trouble trusting people because they've been taught not to show weakness. You know those parents that are always like, cheer up, stop crying, be a boy, be a man, when they're just babies. Babies cry. That's why we have a lot of men, grown men, who don't try to show weakness, don't show emotion. But that's a different story for a different day. Pause really quick. You're gonna feel this. I'm gonna get some water. And she's back. Instead, those kids focus on themselves rather than others' needs so that nobody gets hurt when things aren't perfect all the time. Anxious, resistant children learn early on not how, not only how much control over events that really isn't, but also little control over outcomes matters anyway, since anything could happen at any moment, which makes life living easier. So there are like different aspects in each of these groups that should make, you should combine. It will make you a great person to be around, because you can learn a lot from an anxious avoidant person. So, securely attached people feel they can rely on others for acceptance and support. They trust others and want to be held by them. Securely attached individuals also tend to be more sensitive than less securely attached individuals, which means they're likely to pick up on signs of distress in their partners or friends. Securely attached people are comfortable with intimacy in relationships, but it doesn't mean they're clingy or needy. In fact, securely attached folks usually have a good idea of how much time they need with each other before getting into something new. And if there's no spark between you two at all, or if your relationship just feels like sex, then it's probably best not to get involved until things improve in some way. So they can easily detach. Detachment is easy for them, and a detachment is something that a lot of grown people are learning about these days, because a lot of people are very detached or very attached people. It's hard for them to detach from failed situations. Yeah, I can admit that. It's embarrassing, but I can admit that. So anxious avoidant people feel that others cannot be relied on, so they try not to get close to them. I dealt with someone this past year who is like that, and they would do anything to push me away, even though things were good. And that he was anxious, I was avoidant. So you have two people who aren't healed trying to make something work. That didn't work out, obviously. So yeah, anxious avoidant people tend to be self-reliant, but they are afraid of getting hurt or rejected. This may be due to fear of intimacy and vulnerability, or it could come from a history of trauma like physical abuse. Anxious resistant people feel that others are dangerous, so they do not allow themselves to depend on them or to be vulnerable. You are an anxious resistant person. I want to set the scene. You're clingy, needy, and afraid of being abandoned or rejected. You want to be in control of the relationship, and you don't want your partner to feel vulnerable or out of your control at any time. You want them to always know where they stand with you during each interaction, because if there is any of the slightest chance that things could change, i.e. they find another person who they want more, blah, 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 then it would mean all this time spent together has been for nothing. Which is understandable, but to a certain extent. And you can really feel for those people because they feel like their time is wasted. So here is what you can do to help yourself to become a secure person. First of all, if you can afford it, because I know it's very expensive, it shouldn't be. Therapy, reading self-help books, dating yourself before dating other people. There's so many things that you can do to learn to become secure and trusting others. I'm learning to be vulnerable. So I've actually been expressing myself more because usually I just keep it all bottled up until one day I explode, which is not healthy and not good. So talk about things you care about and what you value rather than things you don't like. When you're thinking about the person you're dating, don't talk about what you don't like. You'll come off as insecure and negative, which will make your partner feel uncomfortable, disengaged, and so on. Instead, focus on things that make both of you happy. If they do something to hurt you or upset you, or any other person, tell them how they made you feel, why it's upsetting, and your feelings are valid. I just did a post on that, so again, check that out. It is in the description on my blog because your feelings are valid. It's better for everyone if there are no secrets between partners. And keeping quiet about things isn't going to help anyone feel safe or secure in their relationship. If someone asks me what attachment style I prefer, and they always do, I'd say I'm an ambivert. That means that while I can be either very emotional or detached from other people's feelings, sometimes depending on how much energy there is flowing through me at any given moment, my primary focus is finding a balance between being overly sensitive and emotional versus trying not to take into account how others might react when communicating with them. That's healthy. That's what I'm working towards. That's my goal for this year. So I hope this has been useful in helping you to understand your attachment style. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on my website. Don't worry, guys. We can all heal from our traumatic childhoods and become the person that we aspire to be so we can attract the person we aspire to be with. Again, I love you. Thanks for your support. Happy New Year and mwah.